Hi guys.
Hi.
So Jeff Cullen and Elise Cullen.
Hi.
Elise is a fashion
Nice to
designer,
be here.
concentrating on boots, and Jeff is a rock musician and businessman.
Yeah, I guess so. Business sort of
Thank
came
you.
along, didn't it?
Thank you.
I guess he's bringing me in here to have a chat with everybody.
Yeah, I sort of said, if you could sketch in how you got where you are from where you started, sort of from the beginning, just sort of see how it goes and if anybody's got any questions. So,
That's a whole loaded thing right there, really, isn't it? Much in the same position you are now, yeah. So I had a wild road, crazy life, I'd say, to this point. Come back to Frensham to kind of figure out if I want to put my kids here or not. And JA is the lifeline. And I have fond memories. In fact, when I first came to Frensham, it was a breath of fresh air because I had gone to very strict schools like Hill, and after that I went to Westminster for literally a minute, you know, and it was just not for me, and I ended up here, right? And grew my hair long, sort of, yeah, and ended up being a recording guy, you know, recording artist, cult hero to some, complete and utter failure to others, depending on who you talk to. You know. But I guess he's brought me in here to kind of give you inspiration. So, really, the precipice, the precipice of my career is right now. I mean, it's been Frensham, start, finish, yeah. So I guess the best way to start interacting with the students is to simply say, I came to Frensham, I went, now I'm back. Any questions?
how did you get your own music? What was it that made you choose guitar, and when did it happen?
Guitar, well, I'll tell you, the guitar came about because I was looking for an escape. I was looking for somewhere to go, you know, and it was a best friend. So in terms of choosing art or whatever it is you feel passionate about or whatever you feel gravitated towards, for me, when I saw the guitar, it was like a magic act. It was like a hero, in a way, for me. Like some people are into maybe a supermodel or Superman, I don't know. But for me, it was guitar. And it just didn't stop playing. I woke up 8 hours and 15 minutes after I went to sleep, because I set my alarm, and I would play the guitar through food, pissing. I played the guitar. I just played the guitar. That's all I did. Yeah, and I lived it like a you know. And so I guess the outcome was a lot of recordings. You know, 13 albums. Soon to be 17, and meeting lots of people. You know, finally got married 2 years ago. What else can I say?
Do you enjoy the business of creating things, or do you enjoy the business of standing on stage and putting across what you created?
I am not a business-minded person. That is my failure in terms of being a famous, you know, household name, because I gravitate away from that. I always felt that it was a bit of a put-on. You know, I'd see kind of a bit of fake, a bit of never really translated. All it really translated to me was sheer talent, and it's sort of like a gift that's been given you, or some kind of divine light has shone and given you an opportunity to do something that other people may not be able to do. So if you find that you have that key somewhere inside you, reach down, grab it, and start unlocking your life. I mean, the business of music, not really the goal. Music was, and making what I felt was truly great music that would stand the test of time and live way beyond me after I died, was the goal, and still is, because you could become one of the richest men in the world and your legacy is money, and somebody else is going to look through the window of the house or the mansion that you once owned. But if you leave behind art, or if you leave behind something that is a tangible mortal remain, then you're going to touch people for eternity. So that was always the goal in mind. It wasn't about the physical touch, money, you know, it was always about the art. Make sense? Yeah. And just so happens I've been very blessed along the way, just sticking true to my beliefs in what I think is the right decision. Wow, I have a decision, I can do this, which can make me a lot of money, but I feel really just doesn't feel like me, you know. I have to change myself to do this to make money. Never made sense, so I always go the other way.
And when you meet people, sorry, I'm asking too many questions, but when you meet people in the same business, is there sort of 50-50 genuine talent or in it for the money, or is it, what's the balance that you meet?
Well, I've had the fortune, I guess, of being able to. I looked around me at one point. I was living in a 28,000 square foot castle next to the Hollywood sign in Hollywood, California, and I had a moat, a drawbridge, 3 caves, a gazebo, suits of armour, a disco in my home, 3 cars, 2 Bentleys, 2 old Corvettes, 3 gates up to the house, 2 dogs, girls running everywhere, and guess what? I'm going to point to you. Guess what? I'm going to go around now. Guess what? Guess what? What do you think? Huh? Huh?
It was great.
It was great. It was great. Yeah, go on.
It does sound pretty good.
Sounds great, right? Sounds fabulous, yeah. I mean, rock stars were coming over to my house. I wasn't going over to their house. They were all coming to my house for some reason. Huh? Yeah, of course. Yeah, exactly. It wasn't really mine. Brilliant. Yeah, keep going.
It didn't feel real, I guess. It was such an amazing experience. It was surreal?
Yeah, go on. What? Yeah.
Like someone else's life. It's not really your life. Yeah, which says.
I mean, look, the truth of the matter is that we're here for a very short period of time. And I would like to think that my music makes a huge bit of difference to certain people's lives in terms of going on for decades or possibly potentially centuries, right? So I think the art is the most important thing. So no matter what your financial gains are, or whatever your fame or fortune goals are, that's all great. In the tabloids, that's fabulous. You see on the front cover of a magazine, there's such and such. But next year it's going to be somebody else, and in a couple of years the person that you thought was the hot shot is now in the Where Are They Now file, or they're a Kardashian. It's the truth is that yes and no. Next question.
So when some of the people you've met, who's been particularly impressive in terms of sticking in your mind as sort of a talented person or talented people? Who do you like working with?
Well, there's a long list of people. I mean, you know, I'm going to take my coat off for this. Well, I mean, I was in. I've had many people in my band over the years. Guys from Guns N' Roses, Marilyn Manson, Ozzy Osbourne. You mentioned Paul McCartney. My old drummer, his band before us is the guitar player of Paul's band. It's all a network. And once you get up to that point of sort of who do the rock stars look up to? Do you know what I mean? Like they look at me. I don't look up to rock stars. I look up to Mozart. I find magic in the body of work. You know, I don't find magic in somebody that's getting $1,000 a gig who's I don't know, Rihanna's bass player, or you know, I mean, you know what I mean? I don't get along with that. Work with guys in Prince. The list goes on and on. You can look me up and see. And my last record had band members from all kinds of bands, Santana. But it's not about that. It's about what you do. You know. So I guess what I have as advice is, okay, here's a great example. Matt Sorum was my drummer for a year. He was Guns N' Roses drummer for 12 years. He turns to me one day and he says, "I'm broke." I says, "What are you talking about? You're broke. You had a tour that was 128 million gross. Well, how could you be broke?" He says, "Well, I got this, I got this, and I got this, and I got this." So really, a lot of famous people have no money. That doesn't matter. A lot of famous people are hugely rich, but then in 10 years, 20 years, they got no money again. They don't, it's all very fleeting. But the one thing that's not fleeting is what you're doing now. The work that you leave behind, what you create, does it make sense?
Absolutely, yeah.
It doesn't matter what the money attached or the fame attached to it, because there's been many people that have been hugely famous that are hugely scandalous the next day. There's a lot of famous people in massive scandals. I mean, you're famous for one thing or another. Just be famous for your work. That's the thing. And fame is fleeting. So whatever that means. I'd like to get a question from each and every person. One question, yeah?
Yeah.
And I'd like to answer one question from each and every person. So where shall I start?
What's with the glasses?
Oh, the glasses. These are a glass design that I came up with when I realised that I had bad eyesight, and I was actually seeing an optometrist at the time. And she's like, "You got to design your own glass." So here they are. So they help me see. They're kind of cool. It's not like Elton or anything, but yeah. But yeah, it helps me see. But I don't wear them on stage very much. Just the very beginning of a show or whatever. I'll wear them. No, I'll throw them because I'm concentrating on what I'm trying to do. Okay, that wasn't a serious question.
When were you at Frensham?
When was I at Frensham? Okay, good question. I was in Frensham in the late 70s, and when I left Frensham, my mother couldn't afford, because we were separated, I came from a single family, my mum couldn't afford the fees here anymore. So she had to pull me out. And when she pulled me out, it was the one thing that I left in my mind. I was like, I'm going to go back to Frensham one day. Right? And my kids are going to go back to Frensham, and they're going to be all right. Yeah? So that's the reason why I'm back. And John and I have stayed in contact, I think, off and on over the years. I was here for Founders Day about 10 years ago. And so I wrote him an email. I says, "You haven't retired yet, have you?" And he wrote back, "No." And I says, "Can I come in?" So here I am.
What are you doing now?
Hmm?
What are you doing now?
Right now, my wife is a bridesmaid in a wedding on Saturday.
Yeah, that's why we're
That's
in
why we're in
town.
London today, this week.
No, like your career.
In my career, okay. Just remastered the collection, which is 13 albums.
It's on iTunes.
There's a double live album that's coming out that's going to be remixed and mastered and all that stuff, probably within the next, I'd say, 6 months, because we haven't really picked a release date. And then we have a double archive relics album, so back in the club days. There's some really cool stuff that you wouldn't necessarily hear on a lot of the other releases.
Who's your guitar hero?
In certain genres, there are certain guitar heroes. Right? In terms of rock, it would have to be Yngwie Malmsteen, Eddie Van Halen, Randy Rhoads, Steve Howe, Jeff Beck, Eric Johnson. The list goes on and on and on. But I mean, those are the first ones that come to my mind.
When did you start playing the guitar?
When did I start? I was 15 when I really decided that this was going to be what I wanted to do, and I wouldn't recommend it. It's too much work. I mean, my hands are deformed because of it. See that?
Actually, when you look at Keith Richards' hands, he's got an extraordinarily deformed hands, hasn't he? Absolutely.
This hand is like a web, and this hand is, so your hands just take on a different, if you're serious about it, they do. Anyway.
What's been the highlights of your career so far?
This, today, right here. Who else is there?
Have you had any injuries on stage?
Injuries?